And we're live. We're live. Hey, Sister Paulette, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm going. Literally. Literally, I'm getting ready to go. But let me just say welcome to all our viewers and listeners to an episode of the Bounce Back Podcast. Amen. Where we talk about resilience and the power to keep on going no matter what life throws at you. Amen. And no matter what you face. So we want to welcome you. My name is Pastor Johnny Wyatt, Coach Johnny, just Johnny. I got today, somebody put Heraclio, so today I'm Heraclio. That's my content identity crisis, but yeah, I'm here. All of me are here. Coach, Pastor, Johnny, son, Heraclio, we all here. Yeah.
And I'm Mrs. Wyatt, Paulette Wyatt, and I'm happy to be with you again, joining in community where we can learn together, grow together, and just be together. So I'm glad to be with you guys another week. We have another great topic tonight that I'm actually looking forward to discussing. So I'm really excited about that. But before we jump into our topic, how are things going, Pastor Coach, Pastor Brother Minister Johnny? How's it going? How's your summer coming along?
I answer that first. It's going good. I'm trying to look. Things been so crazy. I'm trying to think because I feel like my week was busy last week and I can't remember what I did.
That means it was busy.
Volunteered, did church work, great conversations. So this is the end of July, so it's been busy. Tomorrow I head out to the Orlando area because we have camp meeting. So I spent all of last week kind of getting ready for that. Still don't feel quite ready this year. We're just putting everything together. I mean, we still got a great team still organized, but every year brings us different challenges. And so we're doing this episode, then I got to go finish packing. I've become a really bad packer. I mean, I remember when we first started traveling, I feel like I really started traveling a lot in 2010. I mean, I've always traveled, but like becoming like a world traveler. So over the last 15 years, and I could just remember 15 years ago, I was an organized packer.
Yes.
I was like it was all in my head. I got excited. I was ready, like military about it. Today,
one-man show.
Yeah, back in the day. Now I need a little help from Paulette. And definitely I need, I don't get as excited about it because it's the work. I've never really, I'm a homebody, so I don't really, where Paulette loves to travel. She's a traveler and loves to be away. I'm more of a homebody, so I'm much better than I used to be, and that's probably what led to the way I packed back in the day. I wanted to be ready for every circumstance as I left my house, right? Because home is safe and home is where you have everything. And as I'm packing, I'm kind of trying to not pack too heavy, but at the same time, be prepared for whatever's coming my way. Be ready for planning each day ahead. And I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at the travel anxiety. So as I get better at the travel anxiety, I don't worry as much about what's going to be in the bag.
Okay.
So on one level it's good, on another level it's bad because it affects the way I pack. Because particularly when I'm going somewhere in the U.S., I'm like, well, if I don't have it, there's a store somewhere.
Pick it up.
Yeah. That wasn't me before, but that's where I am today, and so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that a little bit. So yeah, I'm heading down to Orlando. This is one of the biggest events for me and the church for our district in the year, and so I'm excited for what is ahead of us spiritually, and there's a lot of work to do as we get down to make sure everything is in place, and so. We do a lot of planning, and the team does a lot of planning. But then it's a lot of work for me once the team has put everything in place, and now we gotta execute. So yeah, that's been my week. That's been my week. My week has been preparing and thinking about all that's ahead of us. What about you?
What about me? So it's the end of July. So I'm coming up to the last week of summer school. I was teaching my little ones for the last 4 weeks, and it's been fun. We had our beach theme, and we've been learning about the beach and, the things that are in the beach safety, from the sun. And so we have a presentation that we're going to have on Wednesday. So we're getting ready for that. Every day we go in and we rehearse, and every day they're getting better and better. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited for them to share with their parents and their families everything that we've learned throughout the summer. And I'm also looking forward to, officially taking time off because I had like a week break between the school year and summer school, which was nice because I actually got some rest. And so now for the month of August, I'm going to really focus on I'm trying to organize myself for the school year and also decompressing and taking some rest. But I have to admit, I am enjoying my summer. I've been
You
spending,
are, even
yeah.
though you have to do. Oh, okay.
First of all, I love teaching, and so for summer school, it's not the we're just staying consistent with what we already learned. So we really make the work fun for the kids. We don't want them frustrated or angry or upset. They're just practicing and rehearsing stuff that they already know, which makes it great because it's more time for celebration because they're always getting things right because they already learned it. We're just mastering it. So when we go into the school year, we know everything. So it hasn't been stressful at all. I have an amazing staff. And the kids have been very good. So I'm actually enjoying teaching summer school. My hours aren't strenuous at all. So I still have most of the day for myself. So I'm actually enjoying teaching summer school. The fact that it's a short in duration as well has been helpful. But I've also been spending a lot of time with family and friends and just connecting with my village. I spent some time with some family, some friends this weekend, and I hadn't seen some faces in a while, and it was just really nice to reconnect and to feel the love. So I'm enjoying that. I have a couple of more barbecues coming up, a couple more celebrations coming up. So I'm looking forward for some R and finishing out the summer, continuing to connect
Okay.
with my peeps. So I'm
Okay.
enjoying it.
Did you enjoy teaching last summer? Is it different?
It is very different. So last summer, I taught older students. I taught a larger class, and it was actually my first year leading a classroom.
Okay.
So that was like my first time, like in being in charge. I had to sign off on everything, and it was my responsibility. So, and the days were longer, and the duration for the summer school was really long. So I finished work. I got a week break, but I taught all summer for a full day, and like I had a week or two off, and then I started my new job. So, and I purposely did that so I could prepare, so I could be ready for September. So it's different. I'm more relaxed. Every year you teach, I feel more confident, more established. So the anxiety gets lowered. You're never really relaxed because it's always something that you got to improvise and be prepared for. But yeah, so I really am enjoying it. Yeah, because I've taught for the last few years.
Okay. What we talking about today?
So today we got well, not a fun topic, an interesting topic, I would say. The topic for today is grace for grown folks.
Grace for grown folks.
Grace for grown
Okay.
folks. Hmm.
We usually do the thing where we talk over the topics and see what we like. You like this one in particular.
Yes.
Why you like this topic?
Um, I like the topic because grace is something that you journeys with you through life, and
Say
so
it again.
grace is something that journeys with you through life.
What does
So,
that? Okay.
so what does that mean is the great grace. So my understanding of grace at 10 it changed from 10 to when I was 20 to when I was 20 to when I was 30 and now when I'm in my 40s.
I mean the
You know,
meaning.
the meaning. The meaning has evolved with me. And so that's why I mean when I say it journeys with you. And it's like a continual thing. When you think you understand grace, I find that I'm still learning more about it. knowing more about it, especially now that we're doing these amazing grace conversations on Fridays, and I'm doing it in community. It's just something that I'm really learning, and I'm learning more and more about. So that's why I'm excited about today's
Okay,
topic.
okay, that's cool because you really lit up when we started talking about that. This has been like you said, grace has been a big topic for me over the last few months.
Hmm.
Just as a pastor, encountering people, and that even people who talk about grace so much, like grace is a big part of what it means to be a Christian. Like without grace, I mean that's one of the key scriptures, right? Um, it's the grace of God, not by works, lest any
Hmm.
of us can boast, right? So it's something we talk about. It's like you said, it's something I never fully understood. I probably don't understand fully. We'll never understand it fully, but
Right.
like its meaning is changing, and so we've been in grace conversations these past few weeks, trying to understand not just. I think for me, it's something I understood here all my life, right? We have this
Right.
definition for grace. We'll probably talk about it more in other segments, but I always had these definition for grace, but then applying it to my own life and applying it to me. I think that's what it
Yes.
is we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Has been a journey, has been a journey I do in my own spiritual walk, in my formation, the journey I do in my therapy, the
Right.
journey I have to do being married to you,
Being a parent,
being a parent, yeah, being married, being a parent, being a
being a
friend,
friend. Yeah.
being a brother in all our
Being a
relationships.
sibling.
Grace is
Yes.
something that's very much needed. Amen.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
amen. So, that's been it as I go through midlife. That's been a big theme of my own midlife, looking back
Mhm.
and having grace for things in the past, and then looking forward, going forward, and continuing to try to walk in grace for myself. So let's get it started. Let's get it started. Let's start
Right.
this first part, right?
So before we even jump into it, I have a definition, but I'd love to hear your definition. How would you define grace?
You want to define it?
Yeah, let's define it so everybody
Okay.
can know what we're talking
So
about.
we got the first definition is the biblical definition because it's
Right.
the we got one of my old church mothers used to pound it in our head.
Yes.
Grace is unmerited favor. When we
Yes.
think about it that way, grace is defined by your relationship with Christ, and it's like rooted in that salvation moment.
Right.
So that's where we get our definition of grace from. But what
Hmm.
is it? What has it become? What grace means for me? And now you got me looking at my definitions because I did have to think about this, right? So
Hmm.
grace today is more than forgiveness of sin. It is that for me.
Right.
Jesus forgiving my sins, and then me being reminded that my sins are forgiven, and kind of applying that, and then having grace for others in that, like, I'm gonna use a big theological in the soteriological sphere, right? And I think I just limited it to that. I think for most of my life, until these last maybe 2 years, perhaps, I've really limited it to the theological definition. I got stupid
Mm.
that grace is a theological concept that God gives us. I
Right.
mean, yeah, for real, like for real. And then recently, just recently, I realized that it's self compassion.
Yes.
That there has to be self. It's all rooted, gonna still be rooted in the divine compassion,
Yes.
but it is okay. How do you apply it to you now? This grace that God has given you, that grace that you walking around in,
Right.
how do you apply it to your life? So for me,
Right.
it's self compassion. Okay, it is. It's number one is self compassion, but grace means
Hmm.
I don't punish myself. I stop punishing myself.
Right.
I'm very hard on
Yes.
myself. I'm very
Hmm.
hard on myself. People think I'm hard on them, but I'm really hard on myself. And so grace for me means still demanding a lot from myself, but when I can't do it, being okay. So it means forgiving myself and not
Yes.
punishing myself for not being perfect and not punishing myself for mistakes made in the past and decisions that I made in the past that I haven't been great at. Grace means I allow myself to be human. And my therapist has really been. She always reminds me, like if I say, "Yeah, I'm a hot mess," she'll say, "No, you're human." If I say,
Right.
"There's so much I got going on and I can't figure," no, you're human. And so she reminds me that I'm not divine, right?
Right.
So my divine expectations are not good for humans.
That's right.
Remind
Yeah.
ourselves that we're human, right? So grown up grace is freedom to just rest without guilt, right? And so
Mm.
with that guilt, and then Grace means I release other people's expectations of me. That's been big for me.
Hmm.
In my 20s, I was doing everything for other people. My 20s was about other people, whether it was my mother and the career I would get, whether it was the church space and being what they needed me to be, whether it was being married and trying to be that husband and father that I was supposed to be. So
Hmm.
it's about performance. In my 30s, it's kind of continuing to prove myself. Now that I'm in my 40s, and starting to head to another decade, um, you begin to work through why you the reason why you do these things, and like, why am I trying to prove myself? Who am I proving myself to? And part of that is, as you get older, to be honest, there's less people you have to prove yourself to. The
Less
older
reasons
you
to
get,
perform.
there's more people younger than you, and you don't feel
Right.
like you have to prove anything to younger people
Right. Right.
as much
Right.
as you do to older people. My mother's not here. My grandparents are gone. I know my friends, all of us are just as human as the other one. And so there's less people that I have to prove myself to it. I'm not trying to
Right.
where, yeah, so my relationship dynamics have changed. And so I'm able to release other people's expectations of me. And then
Mm.
grace means I lean into the spirit. There is a spiritual aspect to it. It means that grace, one of the reasons I've redefining grace is because of my own
Mhm.
journey through not being 20, 30 physically, so that I'm I get tired faster, or my back hurts more in my hips. I got all
Mm.
these physical issues that I deal with, and so I'm not
Right.
able to lean into my own strengths like I used to. Like, even with packing, I gotta acknowledge that I need help. So I'm leaning into my my friend networks, really leaning into my relationships, and then leaning into the spirit to help me do what I used to be able to just do physically on my own. So grace has kind of is showing up in all these different ways in my life. So that's my
Wow.
long definition. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You have a yeah. That's great. No, and I love the self compassion piece because I think that's very important. I think that's something that I had to learn to develop. Therapy has really helped me with that too, in terms of how do I speak to myself, how God speaks to me, And so if I was to define fit grace, I would say grace is God meeting us not at our best, but at our most broken, and still calling us beloved. It's not a reward for getting it right. It's not a promise that even when we miss the mark, knowing that God is still holding us. So grace. I was reading a book one time. It was a book on worship, and it was saying, sometimes we have good intentions and we want to, like what, they use an example when somebody goes to pray. They have the good intention of waking up early praying in the morning, but you fall asleep. And sometimes when we look at ourselves in that moment, and it really resonated with me, when we look at ourselves in that moment, what do you say? I would say, oh, I'm lazy, I'm neglectful, look, I fell asleep. But the author said, but when God sees you, he says, I know she's tired.
Right.
she
Right. That's
she
what God says. Yeah.
she meant well, she
Right.
tried.
Right. 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 Right.
And I honor that, you
Amen.
know? And
Amen.
so if God can see that in me, then I should be able, and it's hard to see that in me. And if I can see that God sees that in me, that allows me to see that in other people as well.
Amen. Right.
Because that grace that God gives us, it transcends to within our relationships. So that's my definition of grace, my short definition
Ooh,
of grace.
that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Um, what so you said something there that does God meet us in the, like, so you said God doesn't meet us in our the in our best, but he meets us in our most broken.
Mhm.
Is there middle ground? Does he meet us in the middle? Like, do I have to be broken to get his grace?
No, no, I think he meets us at every stage, but
Okay.
a lot of times we tend to highlight when he's in the, when everything is perfect and we're doing it right. And I
Right.
think it's good to understand that there's a balance, that he meets us at every stage of life.
Okay.
He meets us when we're at our best, and he also meets us when we're broken, and he meets us when we don't
everywhere in
know
between.
where, everywhere in between, when we don't know what's going on, when we just floating, we just treading.
Amen.
He's always there. Yeah, he's always there. Hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, so you lead. Okay, I'm leading the way. So let's talk about the myth of outgrowing grace.
Okay.
Um, let's talk about that. Um, I was thinking about this, the fact that that is something. I mean, even when you think of it from a very human point of view, not as necessarily a religious point of view,
Hmm.
people make when you're younger, people actually make room for you to make mistakes, right?
Yes.
So when you
Almost an expectation.
when your baby, yeah, when your baby is, you're expected that you're gonna try to walk and you're gonna fall and stumble along. You people realize that when you're a baby, you're gonna make a mess in your pants, right?
Hmm.
And then as you get older, they make less and less room for mistakes. So that if I'm 5 years old and I pee my bed, right? One of the things I used to take pride in is I rarely pee the bed, right? Um, this, you have family members who have pee the bed issues, and I
Bedwetters.
bedwetters, and I took pride in not being a bedwetter, because really, when the people who wet the bed, people made was a big consternation.
Shame.
Um, it was about shame because
Hmm.
as we get older, people give less grace, right?
Right.
And so we create a culture, I think,
Yes.
where we're supposed to outgrow the need for grace. Not necessarily outgrow grace, but outgrow the need for grace. That we're supposed to get so good at being ourselves that when we mess up in any capacity, people don't make room to give a second chance or
Right.
forgiveness or help, right? So,
Right.
um, whether it's the church, and we say that when you first get saved or when you first come to the Lord, when you first they first open the doors for the church, that's where grace applies for you. And then as you get older, we don't give people who've been in the church a long time as much grace as we give the person who just came in. So somebody is serving the Lord for 40 years, they make a mistake, sometime a really bad mistake, and there's really
Right.
no grace. So sometimes we internalize the fact that grace is for beginners in faith,
Right.
beginners in life,
Hmm.
beginners at the job, beginners in everything, that grace
It's
is for
true.
beginners, but that's not necessarily true.
Hmm.
Grown folks still wrestle with a lot of things that we need grace for. So
Yes.
I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
And and honestly, it is a myth. It is a myth that grace is only for when you first start out or when you're young. And
Mhm.
I believe that that myth will wear you out. If
Okay.
you hold on to that myth, it will wear you out because life doesn't get easier. You know,
Mhm.
it just gets more layered.
Okay.
It gets layered. We carry more responsibilities. We carry more memory the older we get, and we carry more weight.
Okay.
So for me, grace now looks different for me. Grace looks different for me at my age now than it did when I was 25. For me, grace is, it's softer, it's steadier. It doesn't always feel like fireworks, but
Wait,
it.
Grace used to feel like fireworks to you. You very poetic tonight. Okay. Start over,
So want
because
me to break it down? Okay.
yeah, because
Great.
see, because we having two different conversations about grace. So I really want to understand where you're going. Grace used to make you feel a certain way.
Grace used to make me feel at 25, it's different for me when it was at 25, when I was at 15, when I was at 10, than
Okay.
how it is to me now.
Explain grace at 25.
So grace at 25 is, for example, I'm going to do my Bible devotion every day. I'm going to use
Mhm.
a spiritual discipline. I'm going to read my Bible every day. I'm going to read the whole book of Judges, or Exodus, whatever.
Mhm.
And then as soon as I stop, life happens,
Mhm.
you know, um, I could be dating someone. I could be starting a new job. My schedule changes and I'm not able to be consistent, you know, and so I'm struggling spiritually because I don't feel as connected. Grace says, well, you don't feel connected because you ain't reading your Bible every day. You know,
Is that what
um,
grace says, or
that's what
that's what the
our
church culture
environment
and
says.
our environment says, right?
Yes, right.
Right.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Our church environment, our external factors it tells us those things,
Right,
right? And
right.
then we believe it. um
So you
right.
don't make room
So
for
it's
grace.
we don't make room for grace. You're absolutely right. It's not grace. It's what our external factors, what our environments tell us,
Hmm.
that doesn't allow us to have more room for grace. But then I'm not learning as I get older and I learn more about grace, that it's more softer, it's more gentler, it's more steady for me. Does that
I
make sense?
it makes no. I mean, it was just very poetic for me,
Okay. Okay.
and you were saying it in a way where I just because I find that I mean it's we live in cultures that just don't make room for grace.
Right. It's
And
true.
the people that need the grace most don't get the grace, right? So, you know who gets grace? Powerful people. Like
Mm.
Donald Trump is clearly a pedophile.
Hmm.
Um,
Bill
well, I
Clinton,
mean,
a
Bill,
lot of grace.
people like Bill Clinton, people like Donald J. Trump, the
Yeah.
rich and powerful people get
Yeah.
grace, not
Hmm.
because they're deserving of it. Nobody's deserving of grace, really, but they get it because they have power and money and fame. Look at somebody like I mean, I keep referencing P Diddy. If P Diddy was a regular person, he'd be under the jail. He's gonna serve some
Yes.
time. He's gonna serve some time, but he's not gonna serve the kind of time he would have if it was me in trial. If I didn't
Right.
have the money, if I didn't have the money and the access to money and lawyers and power that somebody like a P Diddy had, I'd have been in jail years ago, and I would never come out, and I would be somebody's toy in jail,
Right.
uh,
And
because
you'd be that story. Remember Johnny? Remember that bad song?
right, right, right.
How many of those conversations we
Yeah,
have?
yeah. And it's because in the world we live in, we don't value grace as much as we value
Mm.
strength. And so
Right.
for those
Right.
who are strong and rich and powerful and famous, they get grace. So
Hmm.
we live in a culture that makes you earn grace based on your stature or your hierarchy. I don't know if I
Hmm.
said that properly. So I think when we're younger, we needed a lot of grace, but we couldn't find it. Our environment wasn't able to give it to us. It
It's
was
true.
right. So that and then we measured ourselves. We met so grace doesn't measure,
Right.
right? We were measuring ourselves to our
We
parents, we
do.
were measuring ourselves to
To,
spiritual people at
to
the
our
top
peers. Yeah.
peers,
Hmm.
and we didn't know what was really going on with them. And so
Right.
um so what you're defining is that I think what you're defining is that you're actually learning what grace you've
Yes.
over a lifetime you've begun to learn what grace is. But let me stop chatting about that. But keep on going.
No. No, you're fine. I mean, I made my point.
Come on, no, keep making the powerful. Yeah, you was making a powerful point. I just wanted you to help me understand
No,
what.
no, I just
I, I
I think I
sincerely
made the
was
point.
like, yeah, okay.
No,
You
I
said
made the
grace is
point.
making. Okay, okay.
So it's more
So what
steadier.
else?
I'm learning how to make more space for it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So actually, it doesn't feel grace feels more like oxygen as opposed. It's essential. You know,
Okay.
I think it's essential. It's essential for my walk, for me. And then it changes how I interact with people as well. I find.
In what
It
way?
cha- Um, you know, one of my favorite books says never make one of the four agreements says never make assumptions, right?
Mhm.
Never make assumptions. And so, sometimes when something happens, we make the wrong assumption. I'm gonna give a perfect example. I had an event, and someone was supposed to come, and they weren't able to come because they had an Uber issue, right? And so I remember when they got there, the event was over. Everybody was taking pictures. Everybody had left, and they felt horrible about it. And so they were crying and they were upset. And I was like, "It's okay," And the person said to me, they said, "Well, why are you so understanding?" Because I didn't make the assumption that you didn't care. You made a mistake with the Uber. Now, 25-year-old, 20-year-old me would have been that way. And I've been like, it's okay. But I know how I would felt in my mind and in my heart.
Right.
But in that moment, it was like things happened. Things happened. And I looked at them, I had empathy for them, and I looked at them for look at it from their perspective. And I wasn't upset about it. I actually felt more bad for them than they did for me. So that's how it has changed how I interact with people. There's more empathy, there's more grace, there's more understanding. Yeah. I don't make assumptions. What's the matter? You're thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Is that too poetic for you too?
No, it's not at all. I'm just
Okay.
thinking because I know the story. I know exactly who you're talking about. So that's what makes the. That's what. So I would. So in that case, because of the, I know who that person is. I expect you to have grace for that person,
Okay.
right? What
Okay.
about somebody that? So grace, I think, to be honest, I think it's easy to have grace for that person.
Okay. All right.
What about when it's difficult for you to have? Are there people that's difficult for you to have grace for?
Yeah, there's some people that could be challenged. I mean, you have, how many times here, 5 minutes before, I have somebody set to sing or present something for service, and 5 minutes before, it's like, I'm not coming. Or you get that text where, we don't got nobody.
Right,
And in my mind, it's like, but you could sing, so you do it. You know what I'm saying?
right,
You
right.
there. We ain't got to look for nobody else.
Okay.
You do it. And
Right,
so
right.
now I've been doing this for 10 years now. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I'd have been annoyed. I'd have been upset. But now it's like stuff happens.
Mhm.
This is what I'm going to sing. And then when I give my service, it's with a genuine heart. And it's with a pure heart. It's not burdensome. It's not, I'm going to be honest, recently within the last few months there was one incident where it was. I'll confess that. But for the most part it's been done, not burdensome. It's my gift to God. And so that's how I think I've seen where I've grown.
So as you have more grace for yourself, you feel like you have more grace for others.
I find so. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Grace.
find so. I see it. I see how I interact with my staff at work. I see how I interact with students and even parents. Yeah.
I was talking to a family member yesterday. I think you were there, and I was talking about that. Like for some folk, we're talking about great grace for grown folk. I think we're getting a little off topic, but I think this is powerful because I think even for me, it is easy to have grace for certain people than it is for others. So
Yes.
that becomes a challenge, and sometimes I wonder why, right? Um, this kind of connects to last week's episode about forgiveness and for dealing with the sorries and when it doesn't come. And so, but I've learned that I'm learning, man, some relationships you got to have grace almost every time that you encounter people.
Yeah.
But this is not about grace for other people today. So let's move back to grace for ourselves.
Right.
I feel myself going on a
So grace is
on a sibling tangent or something
so,
like that.
so to bring us back to center us, grace, would you say, does it shrink or does it grow with us?
It depends.
Okay.
It depends on how you. It depends on. It depends on your. It depends on. It's like a muscle, right?
Yes.
So you use a muscle and it gets stronger. You
Hmm.
don't use the muscle because if you're not using grace, then you're using some other measure to deal with people,
Yes.
right? So if you're not using grace, then you're using merit or you're using
Hmm.
legalism or you're using some kind of determination. You're objectifying people, right? So
Right. Right.
all the other measures is going to decrease your capacity for grace.
Grace. Yes.
So grace is a capacity. It either
Yes.
grows or it shrinks.
Shrinks.
It's not static. So
Right.
the more I use it, number one on so it's either the more you use it with others, the more you have it for yourself. But what I learned from me is the more
I have
grace
it with
I have from myself.
self. That's not me
When
too.
I have grace for me, then it's hard for me to look at you and not have
Yes.
grace for you. So I would say
Yes.
even in our own marriage, there's been a lot of times. I mean, me and you have talked about it. A
Yeah.
lot of times, I've been tough on you, whether I said it verbally or whether I haven't said it, right? And you could feel it. You could feel when I am really like disappointed or my expectations haven't been met, and I get a kind of way, right?
Hmm.
I think, but I was like I said, I'm that way with myself, right? And you'll hear me say, Johnny, how can you be so stupid or something? Like
Now you say John when you
John,
mad at
yeah,
yourself.
yeah, I
Say
turn into
John.
John.
Like, is he
Why? How
talking in
can you
third
be so
person?
stupid? Like, or how could you make that mistake? Or You shouldn't, you know what I'm saying? So I'm hard on myself. The more grace I'm learning to have for myself,
Yes.
the more grace I'm learning to have with you, the more grace I learn to have with the kids, the more grace I learn to have with my siblings, the more grace I learn to have with people in the church, the more grace I learned, the more grace I learn to have in every aspect of my life. So grace is something that grows,
Yes.
but it begins with you,
It
and it
does.
begins with your own self talk, right?
Yes.
Great grace, because we're still wrestle, and the older we get, the more we need it. We actually need it. It's actually we give ourselves more grace when we're younger. We actually need more grace as we get older. As we get
Yes.
older, like you said before, when we get older, we're still wrestling with things. We're wrestling with
Yes.
ourselves now. We're wrestling with the past.
Yes.
We're wrestling with doubt, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am getting older, and the church is changing, and so I struggle with doubt all the time because there used
Mm.
to be a formula for church, and that formula doesn't work anymore. You can't count on people to be there every week, so you'll see one set this week and another set that week, and you're like, you have more people than this at church, but
Right.
so there's you wrestle with doubt, and then you wrestle with there's just so
Adequacy.
much
Yeah.
inadequacy,
Yeah.
and
Inadequacy.
and then there's sometimes where you fail, and you fail at things, and so you have that to think about, either in the
Right.
current aspect or in the past. And so sometimes there is emotional burnout. One of the things that I
Yes.
struggle with post COVID a lot of times is just the sense of I just don't have it anymore. I mean, I feel better now.
Mm.
There have been moments in the last 5 years where I'm like, I just can't take it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just need more grace today than I've ever needed in my life. So
Right.
I thought I needed it back then. I need it now. I need
Yeah.
it for myself because others are not going to give it to me.
Right.
When I was younger, people gave me all the grace in the world. And
Yes.
I didn't even so even if I didn't have grace for myself, I go to my mom, I messed up. Oh, it's okay, baby. You trying. It's gonna be
Right.
okay. As you get older, you have less people around you. More people look to you to be perfect.
Right.
And so now you have to be your own grace bearer. And that's a term I
Right.
use.
Right.
That I'm looking for in my church and in my life, the grace bearers, who are going to be the people that carry grace as a mission,
Right.
and and not just in a religious sense, but in every aspect of life. Who going to be those people to carry grace? And so that's what I'm learning in this stage at this age. I actually need more of it today. Like when I'm traveling tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of things that we plan for that's going to work out. There's going to be a lot of things we plan for, and still we're not prepared for. So I'm gonna need grace for that, for myself and my staff, and for the people around us. And um,
Right.
that's all I have to say about that.
Right. I find it interesting that you said it's true. As the older we get, the more external grace we have when we're younger, and the lesser it is as we get older.
Internal
Because
grace, right?
internal grace, because I mean, we do it with little children. A kid, a girl can get in a temper tantrum because they're cute, but after a
Right,
while, it's not cute no more.
right,
It's you know better. You
right,
know better. you know, and that happens. And I remember that happens. Then you go to the stage where ain't nobody coming to your pity party. you
But
know,
at the
and
same, but this
so
is the thing: when you're a
yeah,
child, you actually
you need it.
you're
Yeah,
throwing
you
it.
need it.
No, you're throwing a temper tantrum, and you have nothing to be upset about. Everything
Right,
is and now at 49, there are times when I'm throwing the tantrum, I'm having the pity party, and I really
right,
need the grace.
right,
But the
right.
world doesn't have room for mine.
Doesn't make
So
the
I got to
space.
give myself grace. So we have to really learn the capacity to learn in grace. I have this line here: grace grows up with you.
Yeah, it
Grace
does.
grows up with you. It doesn't shrink back when life gets harder.
Mm-hmm.
So as you grow up, grace has to grow up, and so that's powerful. Yeah,
Right, right. And like you said, it's a muscle, and so it's something daily, and it evolves. It evolves with it moves with us definitely through life. Yep.
yeah.
Hmm. So let's talk about grace that carries regret. Regret. Tell us about that.
No, you tell us about it. It's your turn.
Okay, really? Okay, let's be
Yeah.
real. Grown folks carry regrets, right? Mistakes we made, things we missed, relationships that never healed.
You reading
Right.
from a script I don't even see. All right,
Yeah.
you got
And
your own
yeah,
script.
that was
You
your
got
part.
your own
Not
script.
reading my part. Nope.
You, you got your script tonight. All right.
Yeah. I was, yeah. Okay, now I'm doing my part. And we don't always talk about how long it takes to forgive ourselves,
Mhm.
even when God already has.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I don't have a script tonight. So I'll say it like this. For me, grace does carry a lot of regrets.
Mm-hmm.
I am at a stage now where I wrestle with regret a lot. Um, even sometimes in ministry. So like I know one of the things for me, and man, this podcast lately has make us get so introspective and personal. But like I look at some of my like even like pastorally, looking at some of my pastor friends and myself, other pastors made different decisions, right? I made a decision to go full time in 2009, study and give my whole life to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you wonder. So see, the grace does that. Sometimes not grace does it. We do that. So
You're
sometimes I
human.
wonder if I chose the right path, right? Because
Mm.
I see a lot of people for example, in the apostolic faith, I see a lot of people sometimes who didn't put the investment in preparation that I did, and so because there's only a few of us like that, nobody really appreciates what you did. So
Mm.
sometimes you have that feeling that people around you don't really have an appreciation for what
Mm.
you put into your ministry.
Mm.
So other people, I look at a lot of other people that's in the positions like I was in. They focus on a career, a secular career, whether it's entrepreneurship, ownership. Have one pastor friend who's in education. Several actually that's in education. They make six-figure salaries, um, and for them, pastoring was a part-time um, or bivocational endeavor. Um,
Right.
and they, to me, sometimes they seem like they're better off at this stage of the game. They have more
Right.
money, they have more stuff,
Yeah.
and and they still have the same amount of appreciation. And so
Right.
sometimes it's something as simple as that. I make me look back and say, why did you why did you decide to go to seminary? Why did you you know
Mm.
why did you so it'd be questions like that. You'll ask yourself those kind of questions. Career choices, like maybe they're better off, but maybe it would have been better off to be to chase money and to chase career. Not that that's what
Mm.
they did, but to focus on career, build a career, and then when you get 50 years old, they'll make you pastor somewhere because that's what happens, right?
Happened to a lot of our, yeah, peers, our cohorts. Yeah.
Peers, peers, whether it's friends of ours or peers, whether it's
It's,
in the ministry, like
yeah.
see people that have their careers, they work for this company and that company, and then they get a certain age, they they um they get elevated and
Yes.
they have both. They have the stuff and they have the ministry.
Yeah.
So sometimes I look back at those things. Those are some things that grace comes with regret. Lose
Hmm.
opportunities and stuff like that. Um, Sometimes even in our own life, so there's a lot of things you think about that
Yeah.
you wish you'd have done differently, and that can be very overwhelming.
It
It can be
can,
very
especially
overwhelming.
a stage of life
Careful, yeah, it's very. I've
where we
gone through
reflect.
in this. So this lesson, this is for me. Grace for grown-ups is for me
Hmm.
because and we have friends. It's not just us, right? So I talk
Right.
to friends that at times who have gone through divorce, friends who are female friends who are don't have children and they're moving
Hmm.
into that period where they're not going to be able to have children, right?
Right.
Um, I have friends who just we just have so many different. This is the season to have conversations because you're making your peace. You
Yes.
need grace
To
to
make
make peace with
peace.
the decisions you've made because
Yes.
they can't be reversed.
Right.
You want to go back in time sometime and make a different decision so that you could have the babies or make a different decision so that you can have the money, make a decision so
Hmm.
you can have the house or the
Right.
fame, whatever it was that look now you look back. This is the truth though. The truth is no matter what decision you would have made,
Hmm.
you would be sitting here today regretting something. That
Yes. Because a lot
no
of times
matter
we think
what
we
this
won't.
because my
Right.
friends My friends, I know,
It's
I
true.
talk to them. The same friends I have who are like a principal and a pastor, they look at me and say, "Man, I wish I had what you had." And I'm like, "Are you crazy? I wish I had what you had." So it's like
YOLO.
you have these regrets. You're looking back, and what you're doing is you're actually making peace with what you have, peace
Yes.
with peace, and you need grace in order to make peace with it. Like grace helps you apply
Yes.
grace helps you apply the other virtues, right? So I need peace. I got to
Yes.
apply grace in order for me to gain that peace. I need the ability to move
Yes.
forward. But first, I have to begin with grace. So
Yes.
oftentimes, it begins with grace.
Mm-hmm.
Moving forward begins with grace. Healing begins with grace.
Yes.
Reconciliation begins with grace. And I'm not
Yes.
just talking about it from a biblical aspect, but in your own life. So if you're going to make peace with you're a young lady, you're a middle-aged lady, you don't have kids, and now you got to move forward in life without the kids. You have to apply grace.
Yeah.
You have to apply grace, particularly if that's something you really wanted. And so this is the stage, man. This is the stage where a
Right.
lot of us, and I have friends, not just one, and several friends. I'm just the conversations we have. This stage needs grace. Grace for myself, number one, and it has to begin with a grace has to be centered in me, and then I can begin to apply it to give my wife grace, right? Give the
Mm-hmm.
people closest to us grace, right? Because one of the things I've discovered with me, particularly with me and you, is that if I don't have grace for myself and I'm regretting, I'm angry about things and the way things worked out, I could take it out on you because I could blame you could become the reason things are like this, right? I can make you the I can if I don't have
I'm the
grace,
post become the poster
then
child. Yeah.
if I don't have great no,
Of
not the poster
regret.
child. If I don't have grace, then I have to I can't I don't want to only be mad at me. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Grace without grace, you want to punish somebody.
Right.
You
Mm-hmm.
want somebody to be punished.
Pay for it.
You want somebody to grace demand um, retribution demands a payment.
Right.
Pain often demands a payment. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, I did somebody made me mad, and I did so and so, and I said, so what was the payment you was trying to meet out? Because when somebody hurts us, they owe us something, and you want payment back.
Right.
Grace says you don't have to pay me back.
Mm.
So without grace, I want somebody to pay for what was lost.
Right. Yes.
Whether I make the payment, if I'm not able to make the payment, then I got to find somebody to blame so they could pay me back. So then it'll be Paulette. Paulette, if you didn't do this, then and we've had those kind of conversations. And then
Conversations.
if I can't, if it's not you, then it's my dad or my mom, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
those become the conversations. But or my brothers, right? You
Mm-hmm.
find it's your fault. It's your fault. But grace doesn't say that. Grace says it just didn't work out. So it's able to hold that regret for you and allow you to live with it. So let me stop talking, girl. I mean, we only in the second segment. Lord,
So
Lord,
grace allows you to go through the
chat today.
yes.
Go ahead,
Grace allows you to go through
because I
those
gotta go
stages
pack.
of grief. Yes. So I'm going to say my part. Grace allows you to go through those stages of grief.
You're not giving me no grace. You see
Yeah.
how you're not giving me grace?
No, I did. I gave you like 10 minutes. Yeah.
No, that's not what
There.
I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. I was making little jokes and stuff, and you said, "But grace allows me to say my part." Like, with no grace, no grace. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, say your part.
So there were
You don't
years.
have no grace for my sense of humor. It's all
No.
good.
I'm
Thought you had
working.
grace.
It's evolving with me. No, I didn't say I got there yet. I said I'm a work in progress.
I'm gonna give you grace. Go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
There were years, I'm going to say my part and get out the way and you can finish. There were years that I silently punished myself for decisions that I made. When I didn't know better, there are conversations that I played over in my head. I should have said this. I should have said that. I should have made this choice. I shouldn't have made that choice, but grace didn't. And one thing I'm learning is that grace doesn't erase the past, like you said. The past is the past and it's still there, but it gave me the power to stop replaying the scenario over again. And so at some point I will be in I'll have the conversation with myself. I should have said, and I have to say, stop it. this is not what I'm going to do right now. And I need to move on and find something else to, to keep me from replaying that piece all over again. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah.
I mean, I have room for what everything you had to say. I was just talking about me. I need to
No,
go.
no, I'm done. No, I'm good. I'm good. Yep. So what is our spiritual anchor?
No, no, we got another segment that I want to talk about.
Okay.
We ain't finished. I'm just saying, we just got to get to the next thing.
Okay.
So, because this is what I want, because it's a grace in the still here season, and we'll just talk
Mm,
about that. This is grace to stay married, grace to show up at church, grace to raise kids and not lose yourself, grace to pivot, not quit. So,
mm,
one of the most important things we could do is continue to apply grace in the I've made it and I'm still here,
right.
right? So, this tells me I still got a lot of ground to cover.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not finished yet. There's
Mm-hmm.
still things left to do. There's still a lot left in us to accomplish. There's
Mm-hmm.
still a marriage, right? Right. So
Mm-hmm.
you a friendship and a partnership, right? So we need grace for that. Grace to I was preaching yesterday and I said, look, yeah, I was tired today. Because you wasn't just at that event. I was at the event with you too, and we had to wake
Right.
up the next morning and make it to the event, right? Um so grace to keep showing up at church. Grace to
Right.
particularly as a pastor to continue to keep showing up as pastor and as leader.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very and the more I talk about it, the more I realize that's been a big struggle in my life. Just accepting me. There's a song
Mm.
that says, "So happy being me."
I'm
I think you
regretting.
sing it sometimes.
I'm regretting
I'm regretting
nothing
nothing about me.
about me, Layla Hathaway.
Right. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that, but it's good as a it's good as an aspiration.
Yes.
So happy being me. I'm regretting. I have regrets. I want to get to the place where I could say I'm regretting nothing about me.
About me.
So happy. I don't know why I feel like that was Donald Lawrence, but okay.
It's that album. She was the singer. She was the
It's the singer.
soloist.
Okay.
Yes.
So happy living life, living
Living
love,
love, living
freely.
freely.
So happy
So
being.
happy
So
being
that's
me.
that's the place I want to get to. I'm
Yes.
making my way there, where I'm happy being Johnny.
Mm.
Um, and I gotta say, I've struggled with that. So that's where I want to get uh, to make those pivots, to not quit, to keep on going, to be happy with who I am, being the pastor instead of the
Mhm.
lawyer. And I feel like if I was a lawyer today, I'd be like, I wish I was a pastor, right? And so I would have to be at peace with being a lawyer.
There'll always be a
But,
regret.
yeah.
Or
So,
would
but,
have.
but
Yeah.
I want to get to this. So I'm happy being a pastor
Right.
and a coach and and being a father and a husband. I gotta be happy with
Hmm.
those aspects of my life, and that's where grace comes in for me. Being happy, being me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And let me take this moment to celebrate you because I've seen the growth. I've seen you move.
Look at you.
You know, I've
Look at
seen
you.
you. I've seen you like can't
Johnny
find
boy.
something and say, John, what's wrong with you? To giving yourself more
Mm-hmm.
grace.
Yeah.
So I've seen you stretch. I've seen you grow. So I want to take this moment to celebrate you, learning how to be comfortable in your skin and being you.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. And grace for me, no, I'm serious. I really do. I don't want to just tell you. Yeah,
Okay.
I've seen the growth, and it's inspiring for me.
Okay.
It's
It's a
inspiring for
it's,
me.
it's a long way. I think
It's a
been one of the
journey.
struggles. It's been a big struggle for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, we didn't live in a grace environment. That's where grace
Oh,
conversations comes in at,
yes, we
and
didn't.
that's why we are. I mean, it's not just us; it's everybody that comes out of environment. We don't
Right.
believe we talk about it, but we talk about it in that instance. But once that instance comes, the other side is um, not grace. The other
Right.
side is what is required of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And learning how to still navigate in that environment,
Mm.
as we learn more about grace. you know. For me, grace for me has looked like saying no without guilt, you know, saying no without guilt. It looks like redefining what ministry is for me and not walking away, but letting go of performance, like I was sharing earlier, letting go of that performance aspect. Grace for me has been rest and honoring that resting, knowing it's okay to rest when I need to, whether it's physically, whether it's mentally, whether it's emotionally. Grace for me has been good therapies. Have been Grace for me is laughter with my sister on the phone, or
That's what y'all
hanging.
was doing today.
That's
That's
what
what
we was
y'all was
doing
doing.
today. Hanging out at a barbecue, reconnecting with people that I sang with for years and fellowship and worship with, and not missing on the love that we have for each other. Grace is knowing that I don't have to carry it all. I don't have to carry it all but I can still be faithful. That's what grace has been
Amen.
for me.
That's beautiful. That's
Thank you.
beautiful, my sister. All right. So, what does grace sound like now? What do
Mm.
y'all wish someone told you? What is something you wish someone told you about grace at 30, 40, and 50?
What do I wish someone would tell me about grace?
At
I wish
30, at
at
40.
30 and
Well,
50.
we're not 50 yet.
We're not 50 yet, no.
But what you wish somebody told you about grace in your 30s and in your 40s?
So, one of the things that I've always struggled with was people pleasing. And I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be loved. And so I was a big people pleaser. I felt the more people liked me or loved me, that elevated my value, right?
Mhm.
So I wish if someone was to tell me something, or what I would tell my 30-year-old self, it would be, you don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to prove your worth. You are already enough.
Mhm.
Grace is not earned, it's received. That's what I wish somebody would tell
Okay.
me.
So,
Grace is
you
not
don't have to prove yourself. I like that.
no, you don't have to prove myself. You don't have to prove yourself. And you notice the closer you get
So,
to,
who don't you have to do you even to yourself? You don't have to prove yourself to yourself.
no,
Okay.
I don't think I do.
Yeah. I remember because I like that you said that because I feel like I've lived some of my life trying to prove to Mr. Pasternak that I wasn't mediocre. Mr. Pasternak was my history teacher,
Okay, that's what I was gonna
and he was telling somebody, "Oh, you're gonna be." It was a white girl in class, and he was telling her, "Man, you're gonna move on to be a genius." Blah, blah, blah. I said, "So what am I gonna be, sir?" He says, You're gonna be nothing but simply mediocre."
He said
Yeah,
that
he
to
said that
you?
to me. And I
Wow.
lived my life trying to get degrees and all that stuff, um,
Wow.
trying
I
to.
never knew that.
I feel like I told you that before. Feeling like I had to prove something to him, prove something
Wow.
to my dad. Right? We all feel there's a parent we're always trying to prove ourselves to. Um,
Child, we're always trying to prove ourselves to our parents. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I like that. I think for me, grace. I wish somebody told me that I was gonna need it.
Mm.
That I thought my fifth by the time I approached 50 I'd be a finished work.
Mm.
And so I didn't I wish somebody would told me that it never comes a point where you're finished work. You might be successful,
Right.
but every stage requires a new level of grace. Every stage requires its own grace. I wish somebody would have told me that because
Mm.
I thought by now I thought the 40s meant you were good for real.
Right.
When you're 23, you
True.
see your parents at 40s, they seem to have everything together. The kids are growing up and they're moving out, and
Mm.
your parents are all going on date nights and everything. Everything looks perfect, and then you get to that age now, and you realize, yeah, in the aspects of the 20s and 30s that you were at, you're not there anymore.
Right.
You've perfected that, right?
Yes.
My work ethic is what it is. I don't like if I went back to my 20s and had to do my 20s over again with what I know, I would kill and murder my 20s, right?
What?
But but but
I've been
but
ready
you
to
can't
retire
but
in
you can't take the success of the 20s into your 30s and 40s. You have to every season has
every
its own
stage.
challenges, and I wish somebody would
Yes.
have told me that. Um,
That's
and
good.
so what I have to do now as I'm leaving the 40s and enter into the 50s, the wisdom I'm noticed. I am always impressed with older women in particular, right? Because you don't see a lot of older men. Now, you don't see a lot of older black men. A lot of us don't
Right.
make. But I see these women in their 60s and 70s, and they're just so happy being themselves. And there's just some they've learned to give themselves grace. They've learned to be satisfied, and so yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I just wish somebody would have told me that every stage requires its own level of grace. Grace to age,
Mm.
grace to accept, where you are,
Yes.
grace to accept that you once could remember everything, but now things slip your mind, and it's okay. That's why you have kids. They'll remind. Let me stop. But
Yeah.
that's what I tell you. So this is what grace.
What does it sound like now? What would you say?
That's what it sounds like.
Mm.
I was saying that without saying it.
Okay.
Grace sounds like it's
Like
okay.
all those things.
Grace sounds like the way I walk up the stairs,
Mm.
and y'all be making fun of me. Oh, that's Daddy coming down the stairs. That's grace because I'm still making it down the stairs, right? Grace,
Yes.
grace is the fact that I don't jump up and down when I'm preaching anymore. That's grace. Grace is me taking my time when I preach.
Mm.
Um, and so there's some things that grace never uses the word earned either, right? So
Yes. That's what I
grace is not
said.
about what you earned.
It's received.
It's about what's received, right? And what's
Yeah.
accepted, and so we got to open up our arms for grace and make room for it. It makes you much happier. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
What does it
Well,
sound like to you?
so grace for me sounds like rest.
Okay.
Grace for me sounds like you don't owe anyone your old self.
Hmm.
So a lot of times people will look at you through the lens of a 15-year-old you, a 10-year-old you, a 20-year-old you, a 25, a 30-year-old you. But we are always evolving. And I love that my that becoming. And so we're not always the same. And so grace is saying I don't owe anyone my old self. God still sees you even when you're just surviving.
Right.
He sees you when you're on top of the world and you're successful and you're graduating, you're getting the degrees, and he sees when you're struggling. Sometimes when we're just treading, when we just doggy paddling, just trying to stay afloat. For me, grace is God's seeing me even when I'm just surviving, and to know that it's okay sometimes not to necessarily bounce back, but it's okay to rebuild slowly. And one of
Amen.
my one of my favorite sayings is slow and steady wins
Wins
the
the race.
race.
Yeah. Keep on swimming.
Just
Um, I look at the kids sometimes. I look at our kids, and I know that, and I say, okay, they didn't turn out too bad. So I guess it wasn't.
just
You
something
know,
right.
yeah, we did okay. So like, I wish somebody would have told us in our 20s. It's gonna be
It'll be
challenging.
okay.
You're not gonna do it. That you're not gonna be perfect all the time, but the kids will be okay if you try. You know what I'm saying? That's grace. And I wish. And I
Yes.
one of the things I wish I was open to hear it because I think when you're that young you can't hear. Because there's so many things I want to tell TJ and Abby, um, but I guess they have to learn it themselves. And what
Like
I want them to do, I give them the wisdom, but I hope they. Um, I think some generations their generation might be the opposite though. They might give themselves too much grace.
yes.
We Gen Xers, so we
Right.
came after the baby boomers. We were compared to them. We had to. The baby boomers were the greatest generation ever, right?
Yeah.
And so living next to them has been another, but this generation they might not have that problem. The the Zennials, the Generation Z, the
Gen
Zennials.
Z's.
Anyway,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Amen. Well,
Mhm.
thank you for the compliment. Thank you for the kind words, and yeah, and I'm proud of you as well too.
They came from the heart. They came from the heart.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna remind you that the next time I
Please
make you
do.
mad, it should be
Yes.
tomorrow.
no, you're leaving tomorrow. You won't
I'm
be here to
leaving,
make me mad.
so you have more.
So
You
I
have a
got a
lot of
few
things.
hours.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get out of here.
All right.
Okay, you're not behind. So the audience tonight, you're not behind. You're
Mm-hmm.
not broken. You're still
Mm-hmm.
here, and Grace is here too.
Mm-hmm.
So until we see you
And
again.
so until you next time, and just remember, I want to leave you with this reminder. Yes,
Mhm.
you're definitely not behind. You are not broken. You are still there. So I want
That's
you
what I just
to,
said.
yes, that's what you said. So keep showing up, keep breathing,
Uh-huh.
keep becoming.
Amen. I like
Grace didn't run out when you got older, it just grew deeper.
that. Amen.
It just grew deeper.
Amen. So
Amen.
until next week, everybody.
Until next week. Thank you for
Praying for
joining
you. Thank you for
us.
joining us. And keep bouncing back.
Keep bouncing back.
It's time for that. It's time for that music. Which one we playing? The old or the new?
Boom, 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 boom.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Bouncing back.
Keep bouncing back.